Thank you, Chair, and good morning, panel. Alex, if I can begin with you. Unsurprisingly, I want to ask about green skills. We're in a climate crisis. We know that insulating and retrofitting homes is a triple win, reduces bills, it reduces emissions, and it creates good green jobs. We also know that insulating homes is vital for keeping homes warm in the winter, but also increasingly important, cool in the summer too, as we face extreme heating. Is the Mayor doing enough to prepare through the Adult Skills Fund for what should be a higher and higher demand for these green skills?
Thank you for the question. I certainly think that there's more that could be done around green skills. So this is something that we've looked at for World Skills UK. And when you look at people, particularly young people's awareness of what green skills are and what kinds of careers opportunities that might afford to them, there is a very low level of awareness there as to how they can get involved in green skills, despite the fact that young people are very interested in the environment and climate change as something that would motivate them in their careers, but they're struggling to connect their interest in the area with the specific opportunities in skills and careers. So I think certainly more could be done on that. One thing that did come out of our research recently, looking at the rising cost of living, was the ways in which provider costs are also increasing, and some providers who are trying to offer the latest curriculum in terms of green skills are finding that the way in which courses are funded does not always cover some of the costs that they have in the facilities and the resources and the materials they need to deliver that innovative curriculum. And we did suggest that, where that's the case, the GLA needed to look at that to make sure that providers can develop that green skills offer further and that the funding works to support it.
Thank you very much. Risha, if I can turn to you, just to echo my admiration of Toynbee Hall, in fact, with Assemblymember Bakaria came to visit, I think, last year. And thanks for your comments at the beginning of this meeting, too, about marginalised groups. It's always good to see people in public life speaking up for people who need that support. Alex just mentioned there are people who have these barriers to getting involved with green skills. What's your perspective on this?
I think, well, I firstly want to echo what Alex says about just a lack of awareness on how people get involved. We also did a project on the transition to net zero, and it was really clear that people were just very confused by it. So there's a lot, again, with communication. Relating it to marginalised groups, relating it to disabled people and those additional barriers. Again, a lot of the time, some of these skills that are needed for the green transition are much more in-person education. So again, you have issues with how do you get people in who have difficulty traveling somewhere or have childcare responsibilities or caring responsibilities. And I think one of the answers is that there needs to be a lot more local provision. When things are a lot more local, people can rely on, again, it's very interlinked with the transport network and some of the issues around like Dial a Ride and things like that. So we've had a lot of feedback, for example, that if someone needs to get there at a certain time, a lot of the provisions that are in place for accessible transport aren't necessarily great. So again, I think more local provision will help tackle some of these barriers, but there needs to be a more wider focus led by lived experience on how we can really design education from the ground up to work for everyone.
That's really helpful, thank you. And James, if I can end with you. So I've been having a long-standing debate with the Mayor for years now, where he says to me, well, it's a chicken and egg situation. I can't put more money into retrofit courses until business and government demonstrate that there's a need for this. And my argument is always that he has this huge procurement power and actually he could create that work. My other problem with what the Mayor's saying is, and it'd be interesting to hear your perspective on this, is that requires a huge agility on behalf of businesses to suddenly leap into action and adapt to the climate emergency. Do you think businesses have that agility? Obviously, that's a broad question. I imagine some will and some won't. But what could the Mayor be doing more to ease that situation? Sorry, if you could turn your mic on.
Sorry, it's Anthony rather than
sorry,
James.
Anthony.
No, that's fine. It's the second time I've been called James today. That's fine. I mean, I think, first of all, it's some research by London Chamber showed that businesses were struggling to find the skills they needed to decarbonise. So there is clearly a need for businesses to have the skills to help them on the process to net zero. There's also some research that was done by Lightcast that showed that there's a growing number of job vacancies across a range of green skills. I think this is also in the context of what I said in my opening comments around businesses really struggling at the moment. And anecdotal evidence that I've received is that many businesses are very, very committed to moving towards net zero and decarbonising, but it's slipped down their list of priorities at the moment as they contend with a range of other sort of issues of just sort of staying afloat. So I think it's there, but it's just slipped down in terms of priorities for many businesses.
Thank you very much, Anthony, and sorry about getting your name wrong. It's the perils of sitting at this angle. Thanks, Chair.